welcome back for another installment of Twilight Abridged. I'm getting really sick of this shit, so I'm going to make this as abridged as I can. The chapter starts with Bella going emo, but without razors, Alice's Deus Ex power flaring up, and it turns out that she knew Bella was planning on going along with James' plan. But that bit's dropped. She states that her power works only when people make a decision to do something, and Bella's pretty damn set on being a stupid bitch. But, of course, it's inconvenient for her to know that Bella's going there until, of course, later. Of course, they're still suspicious about it, but that turns out to not really matter. They go to the airport and wait for the others to arrive, with Meyer attempting to play up Bella's familiarity with the place as a means for her to be able to escape from her sparkle pyres that can move faster than the human eye. I'm sorry, Meyer, but shit just doesn't work like that. But of course it did, because this is Meyerland. Abandon logic, all ye who enter here. Hell, she even mentions that they'd find her in a heartbeat the moment they realized she was gone, but of course they don't, because then they'd be able to protect Bella from her own stupidity, and thus Meyer couldn't lead us on to what is supposed to be a climax. They won't even think to go there until much later, just so they won't be able to arrive until it's most dramatic. Oh, and get this. Meyer thought a cab driver would actually complain about getting a lengthy fare, even though he'd be getting more from it than other fares. But, as is the way in Western culture, Bella resolves this problem by throwing money at it. Except literally. Then she daydreams about Edward until the cab arrives at her mom's house. She goes inside and dials the number that James left, and he tells her to go to the ballet studio. Amidst more attempts to be dramatic in the prose, she manages to stumble her way to the studio. When she finally walked into the studio, she came face to face with the fact that she was a stupid bitch, and that James had actually used the home videos at her mom's house as the bait for his trap. As I had said earlier, would be the sensible thing for him to have done, and that they should have expected this all along. And her mother wasn't anywhere near Phoenix, and she even realized that her mother was still in Florida, as I'd been saying all along, because, of course, she hadn't gotten the message that Bella had left for her at her house in Arizona. Wah, wah, wah. Then James taunts her and, like most stereotypical villain figures, monologues about how he'd planned the whole thing out. He even points out that Edward could have made Bella safe by simply turning her into a sparkle pyre, and was surprised that he hadn't. And, as it turns out, he'd attempted to hunt Alice when she was human, but she was saved by a much smarter sparkle pyre. But this doesn't matter because it's not about Bella. Bella tries to run, so James broke her leg, then continued to hunt her while beating the shit out of her, and eventually she blacks out. Thank you for joining me for another installment of Twilight Abridged, brought to you by the good people of TwilightSucks.com. Twilight sucks because there is no climax. Unless, of course, you've been waiting for Bella to get the shit beaten out of her since the beginning.